Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right. Hey, it's 4:02 in the Pacific Time Zone. Time for Toker Talk Radio, where we let what's left of my hair down, loosen the tie, and get real. Like I said, I'll be on X-Ray FM tomorrow, and the website is xray.fm. How simple is that? xray.fm. Also broadcasting in Portland, Oregon at a 107.1 FM. And I've been on the station once before. I did a segment with Carl Wolfson, who hosts the morning show on X-Ray FM. And for those of you not in the Portland area, there's a little bit of background here, and it's actually kind of a, the prodigal son returns home moment for me. See, X-Ray FM is an extension, kind of an evolution of what remains after the supernova of KPOJ exploded. And KPOJ is why I'm talking to you right now. Here's the way it works, okay? So way back, let me tell you, way back in the 2000s. All right, so way back in 2006, right? We're halfway through the second term of George W. Bush, and Air America had started up. You remember Air America? Like they're going to have liberal talk radio. Well, the conservatives have talk radio. We ought to have talk radio. Why the conservatives are doing this, we ought to do it, right? Ignoring some of the basic demographics of what makes talk radio kind of work in the AM, right? But anyway, don't want to get too much in the business angle of it, but Air America existed. There was other competitors, Jones Radio Network was one of them, trying to cultivate liberal talk radio. And so KPOJ was this station, AM 620, KPOJ in Portland, was a 50,000 watt liberal talk radio station in Portland. It was the best performing Air America station in the country. And for good reason. Portland is Portland, right? We got the Portlandia kind of liberal hippy dippy ethos out here, right? So it was doing well. If you've seen Tom Hartman on Russia Today, Tom Hartman made his bones in the liberal talk radio here on KPOJ as well. In fact, Tom Hartman was one of my first not proteges, one of my mentors when I started this thing. And how this thing started was KPOJ was part of a contest called The Search for the Next Great Progressive Talk Radio Star. And my wife nagged me until I entered the contest. I didn't want to enter it. Radio? Why would I want to do radio? What the hell, man? Radio was nowhere in my focus whatsoever. I'd played music in bars, on stage and stuff, but why would I do radio? So I entered the contest, and I won for KPOJ. Out of all the people that entered in Portland, I won. I was KPOJ's favorite, right? So that entered me into the round of 24, because there was 23 stations involved, and they also had one online winner, right? So stations from all over the country and one online, so 24, and out of those 24, they were going to narrow it down to just 8. And I made the cut. I was one of the top 8 in the nation. And so the top 8, we all got to appear on the Bill Press Show on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, which meant I had to get up at like 2 in the morning to do this show. But each one of us 8 competitors got one 15-minute segment on a 2-hour show. And that was our contest. And we had to fill a talk radio segment. So from there, I did the live thing and I won that week. So I made the cut of 4. So we did the same thing the next week, but you had to fill 2 segments. And I won in the cut of 4. So I was one of the 2 finalists with this guy from Denver. And they flew the 2 of us out to Washington, D.C. And we did a live show in front of the studio audience, in front of the Center for American Progress. I got to meet John Podesta and a bunch of people. I got to meet a lady. One of the ladies who's now in the Obama administration was one of the judges. Anyway, and so was Big Ed Schultz from MSNBC. Anyway, the 2 of us went head-to-head, 3 segments each. My middle segment was on the drug war, and my middle segment was what won. Because I did the drug war, it convinced Ed Schultz that I could take a tough topic and do it well. And I won a 3-2 split decision, and I won the search for the next great progressive talk radio star. That led to a 1-year show that actually lasted 20 months, from 2007 to 2009 on AM 620 KPOJ and on XM satellite. Now, I got canceled when XM and Sirius merged. They had twice as many liberal hosts as they needed, and I was one of the ones given the boot. Canceled, as a matter of fact, on my birthday. But shortly after getting canceled, Normal's podcaster, Chris Goldstein, had to resign because he had things going on that made it impossible for him to continue doing their daily podcast. I took that over to change the daily podcast into a daily live show. And then from a daily live show, decided, wouldn't it be cool if Normal had a network of shows? So I built the Normal Network. But from that point, from 2012 on, Normal wasn't as interested in that kind of media exposure like I wanted to do. And so we parted ways. And for the past 2 years, I've been doing the Russ Belville Show and been doing 420 Radio, which has had a couple of different names until we got to where we are now. So as that was happening for me, around 2008, 2009, AM 620 KPOJ was crumbling. The whole liberal talk radio thing was starting to crumble because Bush was out of office. Obama had come into office. And now what was there to bitch about? Right? Everybody wanted to get lockstep behind Obama and support him. And then it made it a little more difficult a while into Obama's administration as a lot of liberals started finding things to be upset about for Obama, you know, not prosecuting torturers, doing the whole spying on people, drone wars, all that kind of stuff made liberals a little upset. So it made a cohesive liberal station almost impossible to run, which is the fault. That is why liberal talk radio doesn't really work. Conservatives are a herd mentality. You can get them shaped into one channel and will follow orders from the big cigar smoking guy who tells it to them. Right? Liberals aren't like that. It's like herding cats. It's a little more difficult to do. But anyway, AM 620 KPOJ fell apart and actually got bought out and is now, I think, an ESPN station. It's like a sports station, I think. So there was no liberal talk radio on the dial. Now, that was a problem because in Portland, there were a lot of support for KPOJ. And so what happened is Carl Wolfson, who was doing the morning show on KPOJ, got together with a bunch of other people, and they put together X-Ray FM online, xray.fm, to provide a live streaming source for this liberal talk that they had been doing in the past, and it turned out to be very successful online. And now they've actually gotten themselves on the FM dial at 107.1 FM. So when I go back to do Jefferson Smith's show tomorrow at noon on X-Ray FM, it's kind of like back to the future for me. It's like back to where I started with KPOJ and Liberal Talk. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, 107.1 FM, or you can listen live on xray.fm. And I love the design of their X-Ray FM site. I want 420 Radio to look like that. We're going to see what we can do about that. But anyway, I'll be on X-Ray FM tomorrow, noon to 1 Pacific. You can listen live, share it, tweet it, tell everybody about it, because Clatsop County DA Josh Markey, the guy who I've been investigating, he will be on before me, and Kevin Sabet will be on after me. It will be some damn entertaining radio, let me tell you. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more here on the Russ Belville Show.
Five of the last 9 major party candidates to run for president, 3 of the last 9 vice presidential candidates, and the last 3 two-term presidents have all smoked pot. Marijuana, the gateway drug to the White House. This is the Russ Belville Show. .420 Radio, fighting prohibition since 2012.
My name is Ryan Basil, and I work for a textile manufacturing company, and before that I used to be a farmer. I am a supporter of Measure 91, the legalization of marijuana here in Oregon, but not only for that, for the legalization of industrial hemp. Hemp is related to marijuana, but hemp is not a drug, and we still can't grow it here in Oregon. Measure 91 will fix that. Oregon is a great state to grow hemp. We have the right soil, the right climate, and it's a great cash crop for Oregon farmers. Anywhere you can grow corn, you can grow hemp, except no herbicides and minimal amount of pesticides are needed for this crop. The hemp clothing you see at the store and the hemp seed you see at the grocery store all comes from overseas and our neighbors from the north. That's money we could be keeping here in Oregon. Farming is a difficult business, and with a cash crop like hemp, it can make all the difference.
.420radio.org is proud to replay the Hollywood Hemptress Hour with Terry Joyce from Portland, Oregon. Terry Joyce is a stand-up comedian and writer and was a former reality television star from the first season of Last Comic Standing. In 2007, she was caught up in a marijuana dispensary raid that made her a cannabis activist. Catch the replays Tuesday at 12 Pacific on
Measure 91 regulates, legalizes, and taxes marijuana like beer and wine.
Oregon gets the benefit of going second. We can look at Washington and Colorado and see what didn't work.
I mean, if we believe this is medicine, legalization needs to happen because there needs to be research, there needs to be development, and that needs to be not done in somebody's basement.
I don't think it is inevitable. Of all the marijuana measures, of which there have been at least a dozen, only one has passed, and that was the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act of 1998.
Once Oregon passes this and a couple of other states do, I think you're just going to see it sweep across the country and it's going to be done. We may lose a battle or two as we move forward, but the war is over.
When I get high, smoke up the sky, blowing in the wind, smelling like a skunk die. Pride of my mind, smoking is the kind. When I twist up, 20 feet of time. When I get high, smoke up the sky, blowing in the wind, smelling like a skunk die. Pride of my mind, smoking is the kind. When I twist up, 20 feet of time.
Get your bag, break it down, twist it up, it's time to smoke. Get your pipe, get your phone, light it up and take a toke. No joke, the house of chronic, smoking out until it floats. Sometimes I get so high, I gotta tie them with a rope. And you look
all right, welcome back, everybody. That's the House of Chronic with When I Get High. That's a remix version. Love reading our chat room at 420radio.org. People saying we need to get the Russ Belville Show on XM satellite. Hey, I'd be all for that. Right now, I'm just looking at getting on X-Ray FM. I think that would be cool just to be on local radio, but if y'all want to get me on satellite, I'm cool with that too. I'm doing this because I love to do it, and I hope there's money at the end of it, but that's not why I do it, right? That should be obvious. My landlord will tell you. So, sometimes they get asked these questions about, well, how many listeners do you have? What's your ratings? I don't know. I really don't. I can give you some guesses, but I let anyone stream it who wants to stream it. I let anyone put the embed on the website that wants to do it, because I'm about getting the information out. So I can tell you how many come from my site directly, but I have no idea what's going on out the rest of the world. And furthermore, I try not to care. I care enough that, I want advertisers to be able to have someone hearing their ads and all. I care enough that I want to remain in business and all. But, if this is as good as it gets, waking up each day, walking into another room in my house and talking to you folks for 2 hours a day, that's great. I'm happy with it. I work from home. I have my own business. I got fans who like what I do, and the weed keeps rolling in. So what do I got to complain about? Anyhow, thank you so much for being a supporter, being a fan, and helping us out here at 420radio.org as best you can. Like I say, man, my expertise is on marijuana and research, and the business side, well, I'm just hoping it all works out because I have no idea what I'm doing on the business side. But let's get back to the topics of the day. Of course, the topic would be marijuana. And there was a story that came out in the New York Times about Grande. Have you heard about this? Grande are these two younger ladies. One's 25 and the other one, I can't remember how old she is. But anyway, Olivia Mannix and Jennifer DeFalco. And they've got this startup called Grande. And in the New York Times piece, they're referring to their company as an advertising agency devoted exclusively to marketing marijuana. And that's fine. I've got a lot of friends that are in marketing and business, and they want to be a part of this new legal industry. And there is a want among many to spiff up the brand of marijuana, spiff up its public image, so to speak. Take it out of the Cheech and Chong realm and make it something that, is something anybody would enjoy, right? So I understand that angle. What I have a problem with is the way these ladies seem to be going about doing it. The money quote from this article is, "We're weeding out the stoners. We want to show the world that normal, professional, successful people consume cannabis." And I understand that notion. I understand the want of it. It's what I describe as the marijuana iceberg, that the people you see at the tip of the iceberg that are marijuana smokers tend to be the ones that have nothing to lose. So yeah, you get the self-employed, you get the artists, but you also get, the homeless, the ne'er-do-wells, the stoners, whatever. And really that's such a small, tiny, tiny group of all the people who consume marijuana. I don't know if some of our listeners out there are old enough to remember Foster Brooks. Remember Foster Brooks? The younger listeners, you won't know who Foster Brooks was, but Foster Brooks is this comedian from like the Bob Hope era, the early days, who made his entire living playing a drunk. That was his gig. Foster Brooks, I'm just so drunk. That was his thing. He was on variety shows. He'd show up on Carol Burnett. He'd show up on Lucille Ball show. All these different variety shows. He'd show up and he'd play this character, this total stinking sot of a drunk. And he was beloved for the character, by the way. It wasn't like a morality tale of how awful he was, right? It was like a character everybody loved was this Foster Brooks character. Well, the way some people think about marijuana would be like thinking Foster Brooks represents every drinker. It just ain't so. Yeah, there are people who are drunks and they're mean and they're abusive and they're winos or whatever the hell disparaging term you want to throw out there. But that ain't most of them. It ain't even close to most of the people that drink. So the problem we've got is the marijuana iceberg is that legality is the water level, right? And the more illegal it is, the higher that water level rises and the fewer of the people at the top of that iceberg you're going to see. And they're going to be the ones that got nothing to lose. But below that water level, the 90% of the iceberg are the, quote, normal, professional, successful people who consume cannabis. So I'm not against pointing that part out. I'm not against that, there is this false stereotype of what a cannabis consumer is. Charlie Weaver, good one, Roland Reverend. Yes. But there is that. There is this need, there is that perception, that false perception. But countering that false perception doesn't require embellishing that false perception. Doesn't require promoting that false perception of demonizing those who are in the 10% of the iceberg. And that's what I think this Grande thing's trying to do. We want to show the world that normal, professional, successful people consume cannabis. We're weeding out the stoners. You didn't need the first part of that sentence. You can go forth and say to the New York Times, we want to show the world that normal, professional, successful people consume cannabis is a perfectly valid statement that does not require we're weeding out the stoners. And what does that suggest? Weeding out the stoners. There's your best customers.
Yeah, baby.
You would want to weed out your best customers. You want to promote your best customers as being good customers as well. And to say that dispensaries look like underground abortion clinics, and just some terrible things they had to say, I'm not having it. Check it out. It's on the New York Times. Just look up Cannabrand. Hey, it's 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone, so I got something really important to attend to. I'll be right back.
420 Radio, your ticket to the Boston Freedom Rally.
Hi, I'm Richard Harris. I'm the former Director of Addictions and Mental Health for the state of Oregon. Drug treatment and prevention are woefully underfunded right now. Measure 91 will better fund drug treatment and prevention programs. Marijuana isn't going anywhere. We're not stopping it with the war on drugs. You have to remember that marijuana is a pretty benign drug. It doesn't have the usual dependency features of, say, heroin or alcohol abuse. Now, marijuana feeds drug cartels and fuels violence. We can crack down on that. Take the money from drug cartels and, by the law, spend it on law enforcement, treatment, and education. Criminalizing marijuana is just no way to solve the problem. That's why treatment people like me are supporting Measure 91.
Mike Schwab is a former middle school science and math teacher. Currently, he works with children daily as an after-school program leader.
Currently, kids have easy access to marijuana with little understanding of its impact. We can take better care of our kids through Measure 91 with strict regulations and funding for proven marijuana education and prevention programs to keep kids from using it. Under our current marijuana laws, one mistake can ruin a life. Measure 91 removes unfairly harsh punishment for marijuana offenses and gets more tax money to local police and drug prevention. Vote yes on 91.
Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net.
Treating marijuana as a crime in Oregon has failed. Police are spending way too much time working on simple marijuana possession cases. Too many people are being busted. Oregon wastes millions of taxpayer dollars while illegal drug dealers are making a huge untaxed profit. But after Measure 91 passes, we'll have a better approach, a smarter approach, like what's happening in Washington, where marijuana-related arrests have plummeted. Oregon police will be able to refocus their precious and limited resources on serious crime, and Oregon's Measure 91 can save and generate millions of dollars. Oregon needs a better approach to marijuana. Vote yes on Measure 91, paid for by Yes on 91.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Electric Tuesday, featuring the latest in electronic dance music and other cutting-edge genres. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
Welcome back, everybody. 24 after the hour. And as you know, last week we did a fundraiser for Multiple Sclerosis Society of Oregon. And we were treated to a performance by The Crystal Method. And it was the first time I'd ever been to an event where there was a crowd paying ticket money to see guys program computers. That's really what it comes down to. I tell you, folks, I don't understand it. Maybe I'm old. Maybe it's the old bar band musician in me. But apparently, it was really great. And people really enjoyed it and loved it. It doesn't work for me, but there you go. It was enjoyed by many. And a lot of money was raised to help both the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Oregon and Measure 91. So for Electric Tuesday today, though, we're going to flip the script just a little bit and give you some fresh new programming. I'm going to just call it programming from now on. Some fresh new programming that comes from our very own Electric Bob, our Electric Tuesday music editor, who unfortunately isn't on the line right now. Maybe something come up for him there in Arizona. marijuana, but I got the track, and this is brand new. It's never been heard before by anyone except Electric Bob. The tune is called Final Battle.
.420 Radio, freeing your mind 24 hours a day. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Age Designs, we've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb-Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
420radio.org is proud to replay Hemp Beach TV with Blazy and Max from the Secret Hemp Beach. Blazy and Max bring you the best festivals and events from all over the country in this weekly show courtesy of Hemp Beach TV. Entertaining video and lots of fun for the 420 friendly party crowd. Catch the replays Friday at 12 Pacific on 420radio.org.
There's so much I worry about as a mom. Stephen Harper thinks that organized crime should continue to profit from marijuana prohibition. Imagine regulating marijuana like alcohol and cigarettes with a strong and clear educational message, making it more difficult for my kids and your kids to access. Drug dealers don't ask for ID. Stephen Harper does not have the kind of judgment we need to protect our children. Authorized by the Normal.
Despite strong public support for medical cannabis, decriminalization, and legalization in Georgia, the state spends $121 million every year to arrest, prosecute, and imprison Georgians for simple possession. Each year, the state of Georgia spends less on driver services, agriculture, and forestry combined. What else can $121 million a year do in Georgia? With that much money, the state could hire and keep 3,000 more teachers, improve roads and bridges, provide tax relief for small businesses, repair aging sewage systems, or lower taxes. But right now, that's millions of dollars of your tax money wasted on failed enforcement. Tell your representative you're tired of wasteful spending and ask them to end cannabis prohibition. Join the conversation at www.peachtreenormal.org. Peachtree Normal is a proud affiliate of NORML, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws.
Say, do you like mystery stories? Well, we have one for you. The concept? Relativity. That strange, fantastic relationship between time, distance, and math. Before we're finished, I think you'll agree that truth is stranger than the strangest fiction.
Why do the stars shine? Why does the galaxy light up? E=mc². That is the engine that lights up the stars. Energy turns into mass. E=mc². That is the secret of the stars. That is the secret of the stars. Now listen carefully. The faster you move, the heavier you get. The energy of motion turns into m, your mass. Energy of motion.
Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. An awful lot of energy for a tiny amount of mass. Light travels at the same speed, no matter how you look at it. No matter how I move relative to you, light travels at the same speed.
No matter who is doing the measurement, and no matter what direction you are moving, the speed of light is the same. The speed of light is the same, no matter what direction or how fast. As you travel faster, time slows down. Everything slows down.
Time slows down when your time passes at a different rate. Clocks run slow.
It's a monumental shift in how we see the world.
The beauty, the majesty, the power of the universe into a single equation.
E=mc².
That is the engine that lights up the stars. Energy turns into mass.
E=mc².
That is the secret of the stars.
It's a beautiful piece of science. It's a beautifully elegant theory. It's a beautiful piece of science. It's a beautiful piece of...
A planet like the Earth is kept in orbit because it follows curves in the spatial fabric caused by the sun's presence.
Space and time are bent by stars and planets. As things move through this curved space, they bend.
Now, all of this is illustration of the fact that time and space are linked together.
Because you're moving through bent bent and curved space and time. You feel like you feel a force. You feel like you feel a force. As you're moving through bent and curved space and time. You feel like you feel a force. That force is gravity.
The beauty, the majesty, the power of the universe into a single equation. E equals mc squared. That is the engine that lights up the stars. Energy turns into mass. E equals mc squared. That is the secret of the stars. 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 That is the secret of the stars.
All right, welcome back, everybody. That's Symphony of Science. You can find out more from them at symphonyofscience.com. Had to take a quick break there that I wasn't expecting because I saw a piece of news come across that I definitely wanted to share with our community, and I'm posting the link right now in the chat room, rad-r.us/hemp-CBD-scam. I don't know if you've heard of these companies, Medical Marijuana Inc., Hemp Meds, and Canaway, that propose that they are making real scientific hemp oil derived from industrial hemp plants that they then claim are legal in all 50 states and they can ship them anywhere and so forth. Well, ProjectCBD.org has just released a new report that I haven't had a chance to read it all yet. Going to take a look at it as soon as I can. But the report is called Hemp Oil Hustlers, a Project CBD special report on Medical Marijuana Inc., Hemp Meds, and Canaway. I will just read you the forward on this from Project CBD. So we can get that a little larger for you. A half year ago, Project CBD assigned a writer to investigate and report on Medical Marijuana Inc., a penny stock umbrella company that markets hemp oil products infused with cannabidiol, a medicinal component of the cannabis plant. Originally, we had hoped to shed light on the complex financial machinations of Medical Marijuana Inc., a subject that had been addressed by a few stock market analysts, but not by journalists in general interest publications. Project CBD was poised to publish Aaron Miguel Cantu's research when we heard complaints from several sources that people were getting sick, in some cases violently ill, when they ingested real scientific hemp oil, Medical Marijuana Inc.'s flagship product. We decided to delay the release of our report until we had a chance to look into whether there was any truth to these allegations. Our investigation proceeded in an unanticipated direction, involving analytical lab tests, hemp oil production tours, and a crash course in scientific data regarding toxic solvents, heavy metals, and other contaminants. We have presented our findings in this report. These findings should not be construed as justification to attack the medical marijuana community or impose ever more capricious restrictions on patients and providers, nor do we wish to cast aspersions on companies that are working with industrial hemp to create CBD-rich products. We believe that industrial hemp is not an optimal source of CBD, but it can be a viable source of CBD if certain hemp cultivars are grown organically in good soil and safe extraction and refinement methods are employed. 2014 marked the first year that industrial hemp was grown legally, albeit for research purposes, in the United States in a long time. There's no doubt that the surge of national interest in CBD has been a key factor in catalyzing the rebirth of industrial hemp in the United States. Project CBD maintains that federal law should be changed to facilitate CBD production from the most prolific natural source of cannabidiol available, CBD-rich cannabis with little THC. This would entail legalizing the whole plant, not just a single compound or a single strain. And that's from Martin Lee, the director of Project CBD. He's been a guest on the show. And you can check this out. The report's up at rad-r.us/hempcbdscam. So check that out if you get the opportunity. Now, also wanted to bring to you some videos that we have from the Kevin Sabet tour. We got through day 1 and day 2. Had yet to show you what happened on day 3, although I've talked about it a couple of times. Basically, the short story is that my First Amendment rights were threatened, and I didn't take too kindly to that. So There's the event as it happened and as I recorded it, followed by an interview I gave with the local reporter who was covering the event. These are raw videos. I've not edited them for sound quality. I'll try to keep the sound as good as I can, but here we go. Starting on, this was about 11:20 a.m. on Sunday, October 3rd.
Good day, Tokers and Tokets. Radical Russ here at the penultimate stop for the Kevin Sabet Misinformation Tour. And we are here at the National Guard Armory here in Grande, Oregon. And we just had a gray-haired man, an official, come up to me and Kevin. Kevin and I were actually having a nice conversation. And he tells me that I have to remove my car from the parking lot premises because I've got my Yes on 91 sign out front. I don't know if they're going to call for anyone to remove their cars if they have bumper stickers of any other kind on it or anything like that, but he says this makes it look as if the state is endorsing the 90-gun measure, and if I didn't remove my car, the military would come out here to take me away and to make sure that my car was towed away and I was handled in some sort of manner. So we'll just move the car, no problem. That's the way it goes, I suppose. These gentlemen here are making sure that I do so. No, we're not. Oh, all right. No problem. SCI. Sir, are there any other people with political bumper stickers here we should have removed? We don't want any other political bumper stickers here that might give the impression that the state endorses that, right?
Use your head. Do you think that somebody working for the military or state would do this out here?
So, yes on 91 has to go, but if a military guy came in with a no on 91, that'd be okay?
It's not about 91. It's about protecting our military.
Okay. So
nobody, I'm a vet. I don't want nobody to
I'm a vet too.
That, yeah, I don't want nobody thinking that the state is...
I see.
And them get in trouble.
I see. So if I look around here and found any other bumper stickers expressing a political point of view, could I point that out to you?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Remove them all. I don't care.
Okay, will do. Thank you. Well, tokers and tokettes and non-token lovers of liberty, we've got a new wrinkle development here at the Grande Armory. The fella who came and told me that I had to take my sign down, take it off of the Oregon National Guard Armory parking lot, he wasn't any sort of official with the Oregon National Guard. He wasn't any sort of person involved in the meeting inside or putting it on. He was just a citizen, just a guy, saying he's a veteran. I'm a veteran. And that's why he wanted me to take it down. He said I had to take it down because then that would make it look like the state was endorsing Measure 91. And as a veteran, he didn't want to see that happen. And then he chided me for being arrogant about this. I was actually taking the banner down and getting ready to move the car until he called me arrogant. And until I realized that this was just some nobody telling me to take my sign down at a public event. I asked him whether or not we should take down any bumper stickers from anybody else, and he said, well, you don't think anybody else would be putting something like this out there. Oh, here's the Union County's Rock 101. I hope that doesn't look like the state's endorsing rock music. Wouldn't want that. So he said, well, if you called the Armory guy in Salem, he'd tell you you'd have to take it down. And I said, you call the Armory guy in Salem. If he comes here and tells me to take it down, we'll talk about it. So I'm going to hang out here and see what happens. I've seen Kevin Sabet's speech 5 times now. Kevin also said, thank you for taking the banner down because, boy, the worst thing for me would be some visual of the Army coming out to force you to take your banner down. All right. Your wish is my command. Yes, I've been following every one of these tour dates. So this is the 6th city I've been in 3 days. Or 5th this city.
So tell me again, like what's actually happening today? Tell me. Good.
Well, this is part of the Oregon Sheriff's Association and others spending $3,000 a day at least to bring Kevin Sabet out. I'm sorry, $3,000 per city to bring Kevin Sabet out here. It's cost $21,000 in donated monies to bring Kevin Sabet out here. I was first made aware of this because it was originally going to be paid for with public taxpayer funds. And while they tout this as a marijuana educational event, it's a very, very thinly veiled anti-legalization event. And I felt strongly that whether you're for or against legalization, I'm obviously for it, but whether you're for or against it, taxpayer money should not be used to try to influence an election. So, after we paid some attention to that, they dropped all the taxpayer funding and raised private funding, raising it from their offices on taxpayer time using taxpayer emails, but still, they raised private money to put these events on, which again, Kevin Sabet costs $3,000 per city. I'm upset because for a so-called marijuana educational event about youth, the only education that's happening here is referring to the negativity of marijuana in youth and the negative effects of legalization on marijuana in youth, but leave out important details about legalization, positive details that aren't being mentioned here at all. According to the Colorado Healthy Kids Survey in 2009, 24.8% of teenagers used marijuana monthly in that state. Now, it's down to 20%. Youth marijuana use went down in Colorado after legalization, even though their perception of risk went down as well. They find it less risky and still don't feel that they need to do it as much. In fact, kids in Colorado rate it harder to access marijuana than kids do nationwide on average. So stats like this and others that reflect the positives that are happening with marijuana in Colorado aren't being mentioned at all in any of these events.
And tell me a little bit about what you've done so far to, earlier you were telling me you've actually traveled to all these locations across Oregon.
Right. I'm the host of the Russ Belville Show, which is a live weekday talk radio show on marijuana reform and legalization. My listeners donated the money necessary for me to be able to rent this car and travel across the state so that they could see for themselves, hear for themselves, what's being done in the name of marijuana education.
Well, that's awesome. You've come out. We've got some stickers and all kinds of stuff, but your car is completely. Anything else though that information-wise that you could give to us for a story about what's happening here at this conference today?
Yeah, only that I'm all for education. It's what I do every day. And while I do have an admitted bias in favor of legalization, the reason I do is because regulation works. When I was a high school student, 9 out of 10 of my classmates tried drinking. 7 out of 10 tried cigarettes. Now, 7 out of 10 kids try drinking, and 4 out of 10 kids try cigarettes. In 30 years, we've had a massive reduction in teen drinking and smoking, and we didn't lock up a single adult to do that. Regulation works. I want marijuana put in stores that only 21-year-olds can get to, that check IDs, that make sure that the product isn't contaminated with other drugs, that make sure that people know what the potency is when they're getting that product. Drug dealers don't check IDs, and they have all the incentives. In Colorado, they had a recent law enforcement sting where they tried to bring underage narcs into pot shops to buy marijuana. 0 of the pot shops tested sold marijuana to the kids. Meanwhile, they did another similar sting with underage narcs going into bars and restaurants and found 28 of them. 28 that would serve an underage kid. And when it comes to statistics, more statistics than marketing often, they'll like to say in there that there's a tripling of the number of people that have had marijuana in their system in a fatal wreck. Having marijuana in your system just proves that you have marijuana in your system. It does not prove impairment. But what they won't tell you is that vehicular deaths in Colorado have dropped for the 4th straight year. So I have nothing against the education. I was just speaking with Kevin Sabet. On some issues we even agree. But if there's going to be an education event
Let's have both sides educating people and let the voters decide with all the information. Don't cherry pick just the negative stuff and scare the hell out of people about their kids to try to get them to vote no on something without hearing the other side.
Now, why are you out here and not in there? Was that actually something that actually...
The reason I'm out here is because I was sitting inside when a gentleman, probably in his 50s or 60s, came up to me at the front and said, "Who's got the car outside with the Measure 91 banners on it?" And I said, "Well, that's my car." And he said, "Well, this is state property, and you can't have your car parked there because it would indicate that the state endorses this measure, so you're going to have to move it off the property." And I thought, well, okay, I don't want to cause a fuss or a ruckus. So I came out here and I started taking the banner down, and that fellow came out and was talking. And through our conversation, I realized he's not an official here. He's not a member of the National Guard. He's not even a person putting on this event. He was a random citizen driving down the road who was offended by my banner, came in and told me that if I didn't move it, the military would be hauling me out of here. So, to make sure that my car didn't get hauled out, I moved out here to make sure that everything would be okay. Now, fortunately, a major from the National Guard told me that since this is a public event, that doesn't apply, and I am able to post my banners without any problems.
Are you going to go back in?
You know, I think maybe toward the end, we have some flyers out to people, but again, I've seen and recorded this speech 5 times now, so I don't think I really need to see it again.
And with your camera, are you going to make some kind of documentary out of this? Are you
Absolutely. This will be the show for my show, the Russ Belville Show. It's on 420.
Again, my apologies for the low quality on this. We just had to do what we did kind of gonzo style outside with the handy cam, so sometimes the wind is kicking up there, making it kind of hard to hear. I'll do what I can.
Awesome. Let me get... Now, you're a fiery guy, and I like the visuals here. You are using your hand, and you got your... Let's see if we can incorporate that into a picture here, because we might be using this in our Observer coverage of this conference. And then, of course, I got a call saying, well...
I've posted the link to the Observer page, their story that includes the discussion of this event. So if you'd like to check that out, check the link. It's in our chat room. The full version's in the print version. I think I've got a copy of that somewhere, and I'll get that posted on radicalruss.com as soon as I can. But these folks were very, very interested in what I had to say and did a good job covering this event in La Grande. So I want to give a big thanks to Charisse Keckley, who is the woman who came to interview me, and I forget this fellow's name, who was the photographer. Tim Musto, I think, is his name. And thanks again, La Grande Observer. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up for the day.
Continue the conversation with Radical Russ online. Visit radicalruss.com and email radicalruss@gmail.com.
Also, folks, if you're here in the state of Oregon, you've got till, a few minutes left to register to vote, I think. I don't know if it closes at 5 or at 8 or when it closes, but it's starting to run out. Go to the Oregon Secretary of State's site, find out how to register to vote online so you can vote yes on Measure 91. Help us be the body blow that brings down the Berlin Wall of Prohibition. Back to wrap things up right after this. .420 Radio, your ticket to Seattle Hemp Fest. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now. All right, welcome back, everybody. Winding things up here. 5 minutes till 5. Coming up next, you've got...
On the one hand,
it's supposed to be Electric Bob's Boogaloo, but I don't see a new episode sitting there. So let me see what I can find for Electric Bob's Boogaloo, our electronic dance music show that happens at 5 and 8 every Tuesday, 5 a.m., 8 a.m., 5 p.m., 8 p.m. You can check out Electric Bob's Boogaloo. Let's see what we got in the hopper here. All right. We'll go with Electric Bob's Boogaloo number 15, the hip-hop episode, coming up next, 5 o'clock. We've also been visited by Roscoe, the official Jack Russell terrorist of 420 Radio. Hi, Roscoe. Usually shows up when he has to go pee. So right after the show, we'll take care of that. Thanks again, everybody, for your support here. I'm predicting big things for 420 Radio coming up in the future. We're working on the development of the 420 Radio app with multiple streaming channels and more great shows. So stay tuned for that. We're still continuing upgrades on the back end, on the website, so you'll get glitches from time to time, but like I said, we're working as fast as we can with the budget we got, and we'll make it as good as we possibly can. If you'd like to become a VIP member of 420radio.org, you can. Just click on the Donate VIP Memberships right at the top, and it's just a simple monthly deduction from PayPal, starting at $4.20 a month. If you want to go that low, I recommend starting at $9.99. That money comes to us through PayPal and helps us to keep the bandwidth and the lights and the internet access and the computers and the software and the plane tickets and the meals and the gas and the tips and all the things that go into putting together this show for you 5 days a week. And remember, we're covering all of the High Times Cannabis Cups in the United States. Someday we'll make enough money that we can go fly off to the Netherlands and cover the European Cannabis Cup, I guess we call it now. But covering all those Cannabis Cups, covering the normal conferences, covering the Hemp Fests, and of course our election night coverage coming up 3 weeks from today. All of that takes money. And thanks to your support and some great sponsors, we've been able to keep doing this for you and bring it to you free. Free, folks. Free live streaming 24-hour marijuana information. Gotta be worth something to somebody, right? So help out if you can. If you want to just send it direct through PayPal, don't want to sign up for a monthly thing, you can do that. You can go to GoFundMe.com/FightSabet if you want to contribute specifically to that. We're asking for another $20,000 because it looks like there's going to have to be some lawsuits and the lawyers are going to be expensive. So trying to raise some more money on GoFundMe. If you can help out that way, that'd be great. And I know some people don't like doing it online. If you want to do it by a check, old-fashioned paper snail mail check, mail your checks to Russ Belville at 3608 Northeast 75th Avenue, Portland, Oregon, 97213. That's 3608 Northeast 75th. Portland, Oregon, 97213. That's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us. Roscoe says hi. Stay tuned for Electric Bob coming up next. I'm headed off to a fundraiser for Measure 91. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.